Sporting Journal Radio, presented by Onyx.
All right, this is Sporting Journal Radio. I'm Brett Amundsen. Thank you for tuning in on the network by demand, sportingjournalradio.com, or maybe you're watching this on YouTube. Thank you very much. Dan Amundsen and David Eckhart with us here in studio, and Randin Olson joins us. You know, some people are listening to this at like 6 a.m. on Saturday mornings or Sunday mornings. We record this during the week, so it's during the day. So sometimes we're fishing, sometimes we're eating pizza, sometimes we're doing different things. I love it, though, when we're fishing, when either we're fishing or someone is fishing on the show right now, and Randin is out there on some random lake in Otter Tail Lakes country right now. The sun is shining, beautiful blue sky behind him. Randin, how's it going?
You know, it's going pretty good. I've been sick the last couple of days, so I'm trying to catch a Tullibee, because legend has it if you lick the Tullibee, it'll cure any ailment you might have. So I'm trying to shoot for that right now.
Is that a thing? I've never heard that before.
You know what? I never have either until I said it, but I'm pretty sure.
They got to start somewhere.
I'm going with it. That's going to be the new slogan of the show here. I like it. Lick a Tullibee, feel better.
Is that like those toads that you lick? Gosh, see, that's supposed to be my face right here. I'm struggling today.
That's all right, Dan.
Lick a Tullibee.
We've been having some technical difficulties on the show today, but hopefully your fishing is better than our camera gear today.
Yeah, fishing's been really good up here. You know, I would say for almost everything. The walleye bite is still kind of that midwinter blue stuff for walleyes. You can have a good night walleye fishing, but you're going to work for them for sure. But everything else has been kicking into high gear, and this warm weather is kind of giving us like a full spring, so to speak. It's putting oxygen back into the water. So we're seeing a lot of fish rising up and showing up in those reed beds. The bug hatches are going, so the fishing's been really good lately.
I was wondering about that. We've been hearing different things about bug hatches. You've been seeing that up there?
Oh, yeah. We had a really big one about a week and a half ago, and we still kind of got one going a little bit now, but for the most part, it's kind of tailing off. But bug hatches are not bad in the winter. You know, they can be a little tough in the summer, but in the winter, it's game on.
So do you change any sort of technique when you have a bug hatch?
Yeah, one thing I'd really do a lot of is I'll go a lot to plastics, because you're imitating the bugs way better with plastics. You know, you can imitate exactly what's down there, what kind of bugs are down there. One other thing I like to do a lot with bug hatches is I go back to the old lead head jig. That fall rate on the older style lead head jigs is way slower, and it just imitates the bugs way better. The tungsten's actually too fast of a drop.
Interesting.
So going back to flathead.
That is an interesting thing. That is something new I haven't heard of before. Huh. So, and then, okay, do you have a particular plastic that you like to use then?
Yeah, Northland makes a bunch of really good ones, the Impulse plastics. They got a bunch of different varieties, so you kind of got to use a combination. You know, use an underwater camera to kind of see what they look like underwater, what kind of bugs you got going on, and then just try to match it the best you can.
So, and then in your jigging cadence, do you try to do something different to try to match what the bugs are doing somehow?
Yeah, and that's a big part of where your underwater camera comes in, because you can really watch how these bugs just live. You know what I'm saying? So you can watch how they react down there, what those bugs are doing in natural, and then you can just mimic that as with your jigging cadences. A lot of times, you know, it's not that kind of typical jig, and settle. You know, if you ever watch bugs underwater, they'll jump and sit still. And sit still. And that's what you're trying to imitate.
Yeah, it's crazy. Then they kind of jump kind of sideways, and then you'll see that go across the camera. That's kind of wild. Yeah. So do you have will you try to go to a fairly small lead head jig then? Or does it depend on, you know, how deep you're fishing or if there's any current, obviously?
Yeah, we don't get much for current in our lakes, too much. But generally, if I have to drop down to the old style lead heads, I'll go really, really, really small with it. To the point where, you know, a lot of times this time of year, I'm fishing that 15 to 20 foot, kind of those basins. And a lot of times it'll take you longer to get that jig down there than it will to catch a fish. But that's kind of what you're looking for, that really weightless presentation. And you just can't do that with the tungstens. They're just too big.
We've heard from two different people in the last couple of weeks about fishing deeper bait, 20, 30 feet of water, and then catching, they both ended up being about 19-inch walleyes, catching them up in the top third of the water column, so 8 to 10 feet down from the ice. Have you seen suspended walleyes up like that yourself?
For sure. We'll see them, as soon as probably end of January, you'll start to see some fish doing that. You got to remember one thing about winter that's completely different about summer is the water is a uniform temperature in the winter, whereas the summer, the water temps dictate where those bait fish go through the water column. So in the winter, that's all out the window because it's all the same temperature. So you got to start watching for that. Winter fish literally be anywhere in that water column.
I'm so jealous watching them sit outside in a vest, like a vest and a hoodie.
And blue jeans.
Yeah. No ice fishing gear. It looks just perfect out there right now, Randin.
There's no wind. My truck says it's 41 degrees. I don't know if I quite believe that, but it's not far off of that.
Wow.
I'm so ready for spring. Just imagine if we were in a boat.
Dan is done with ice fishing, like done with it.
I'm done with ice fishing when it starts. Like, let's get in a boat and go.
Oh man! So you're Tullibee fishing, and that's another thing we've been talking about quite a bit lately, is targeting other species, and more of these rough species are beginning. They're beginning to be more popular with people targeting them, even guiding. I know you do some guiding for Tullibees out there. Are you a Tullibee guy or a Tullibee guy?
Tullibee.
Tullibee.
I don't know if that's right or not, but that's just the way
I don't know if that's an age thing or geographical. I feel like if you're in northern Minnesota, they're Tullibees, or if you're the rest of the states, they're Tullibees. But do you target them in deeper water, and then will you use the entire water column, or do how do you fish for Tullibees?
So generally, just quickly, a Tullibee, they spawn in the fall. So in the fall, they're up real shallow. Usually right when that first ice is happening, that's when they're spawning. And they'll kind of disperse out after that. And realistically, right at first ice, you can go into the deep holes and catch some of these fish. They won't really pile into these deep holes until probably early February. But you can catch them all year long. A lot of people wait till March, and you don't have to wait till March. These fish are in here basically all winter. Generally, we see a bug hatch right about this time of year. That'll kind of spread those fish out a little bit because they're bug eaters. That's all they eat. And then once this bug hatch starts to wane off, the majority of those fish will kind of funnel into these deep holes, and you can just pick a hole, and you'll catch them throughout the entire day. But your kind of prime times are about an hour after the sun comes up, and then about 2 hours before the sun goes down. Those are kind of the peak times of the day for Tullibee.
Now, are you catching and releasing them, or are you keeping a couple to smoke?
I'm not a big fan of smoked fish. I just like to catch them. If you've never caught Tullibees, it's a blast. It's kind of freshwater lake trout. We don't have lake trout right around our area, so it's our lake trout, so to speak. We're fishing them right now I'm in 76 foot of water, and those fish could be anywhere from an inch underneath the ice to 76 foot down. So you're constantly chasing and running these fish down and trying to get them to eat. So they're a lot of fun.
Yeah, I don't know how closely related to trout they are, but man, they sure seem like one to me. I mean, even from the consistency of the meat to the flavor to the way you can prepare them and eat them, even to their aggressive nature too. They are very similar to trout.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun. And then, so how are you going to be guiding? So you'll still guide, say, crappies and walleyes until walleyes close up, and then you'll do maybe some panfish and Tullibee guiding in March.
Oh yeah, yep. We'll run till the ice is gone. One thing I've been trying to get guys to do is just experience what Tullibee fishing can be. It's such a fun way to do it, and it's something different. Those sunfish and that, you can get on them pretty much throughout the whole day. So you might as well spend your first hour or so in the morning chase a Tullibee around, see if you like it. They stink a little bit, but that's just
whatever. All fish do a little bit. Do they
right.
Now? Are you seeing? You have whitefish mixed in, or is it all Tullibees?
We're straight Tullibees here, and the only real difference is the size is a little bit bigger on whitefish, but their mouth is a little farther underneath their head, whereas a Tullibee, it's a little more straight out the front of their head. But aggression-wise, depth-wise, they're kind of all the same.
Yeah.
Fish the same areas and stuff like that. You just get a little bigger size with the whitefish.
Fun fish to catch. The old tug is a drug, right? Doesn't always matter what's on the other end of the line. Unless you're trying to catch dinner, it doesn't really matter. Just get something tugging on there. All right, Randin. Well, if people want to get fishing with you yet this winter or start planning an open water trip or maybe some muskie fishing, which you'll be able to watch a muskie episode with Dan and I, Randin, coming up soon on Prairie Sportsman. Watch for that episode that we filmed last fall, coming up on the new season of Prairie Sportsman here soon. How can they reach you, Randin?
You know, the best way to reach me is just give me a call at 218-640-0158. Otherwise, you can reach out on Facebook or on our website at www.lockjawguideservice.com.
Say your website one more time for us.
Lockjawguideservice.com.
LockjawGuideService.com. There you go. And if you want to learn more about Ottertail Lakes Country, go to OttertailLakesCountry.com. Randin Olson, thanks for the time today on the show.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Hear more at SportingJournalRadio.com or wherever you get podcasts. Live Target, the leader in Match the Hatch, is back with new lures that also match the action. Introducing the Live Craw. The Live Craw is irresistible to bass, walleye, and other freshwater species. FTech's winner, the Ultimate Frog, looks and acts just like a swimming frog. With an exposed ultra-point mustad hook and replaceable legs, the Ultimate Frog has 2 styles, 2 sizes, and 8 colors. And iCast and FTech's winner, the Live Shrimp, mimics a fleeing shrimp for saltwater anglers. Coming soon from Live Target.